The blog is ready. Let's party, grab confetti. No sleep, not a wink, hustling heavy. He's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to launch out. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud. Grabs a pen, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out. Time's up. Over. Blow. Our culture, our world, tells us in order to be successful, you've got to sell out. You've got to be all in. In order to win, you have to lose yourself. Eminem's words in his song, Lose Yourself, are a rally cry, an anthem for our culture. Lose yourself in the music. The moment you own it, you better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. Because opportunity comes once in a lifetime. But what if that's not true? You see, truth is a funny thing. Because we all have a version of the truth that we believe. And then we have a head-on collision with the truth. I mean, for the longest time, mankind believed the world was flat. We would never fly. And Rick's last name was pronounced Fuel. But the truth is that the world is round. And today, 8 million people will fly. For the record, it's Thule. You see, truth is a funny thing because we all have this version of the truth that we believe, and then it intersects with this other truth, and we're forced to make a decision. But here's what I'm learning about the truth. The truth can't be imposed on us by a government. The truth can't be spoken from this stage. The truth is not going to be something you read in the latest bestseller. The truth can only be revealed in you. There was a man named Saul. Saul knew the truth. He was passionate about it. He obeyed every law, he followed every rule, and he was zealous for the truth that he believed. He went so far as to persecute those who didn't believe the way he believed, having them thrown in prison, having them killed. But one day, Saul, as he was walking to this town, encountered the truth. A bright light shone from the heavens, and a voice cried out, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" Confused and afraid, Saul said, "Who are you?" And the voice said, "It is I, Jesus Christ, whom you persecute." Immediately, Saul was blinded. And he stumbled into this town called Damascus. And for 3 days, he sat in the dark, blind and confused because he hated Jesus and everything about him. He knew it was a lie. But he had had this experience of the truth. And then a man came and laid his hands on Saul. And immediately scales fell off his eyes. And he could see again. And this man said, "Saul, everything you believe is wrong." You see, in that moment, Saul had a decision to make. Would he go on believing this version of the truth? Or would this new truth transform him? If you know the story, Saul was transformed by this experience. He had a new identity. He was now Paul, the apostle. You see, when we have these moments of truth, when they collide with us, they change us. Paul went on to found the early church, and he wrote 13 letters to that church, which became the New Testament of the Bible, the greatest selling book of all time, making Paul the most prolific author in the history of the world. You see, we, as a group, have come against one of those moments this weekend where we encounter a truth. And we're going to go from here and have to decide which truth we're going to believe. These moments, these truths will change us when they transform us. Now, I know that somewhere in the book of Revelation it says that you shouldn't quote Eminem and Jesus in the same sentence, but Eminem says, lose yourself. And in every gospel account, regardless of your religious beliefs, Jesus said, what good is it if you gain the whole world and lose your very self? So, we have a decision to make. Do we lose ourselves in our launch, or do we not? That's a decision that we have to make individually. You see, I've had these moments in my own life, these collisions with the truth, many of them, as we all have. Most recently, last summer, I was 32, great health, launching. I was diagnosed with stage 3, spreading malignant melanoma, the most aggressive form of skin cancer there is. It threatens to metastasize to the rest of your body and ravage it. I waited for the prognosis from the doctor to see if it had spread, not knowing the outcome. I had a truth to face. Now, I found out by the grace of God that all of the cancer cells were removed, and I was cancer-free. But you would think a cancer diagnosis would cause me to slow down, to embrace life. I mean, goodness gracious, I wrote a book about living richly, about embracing richness in the everyday. I was forced with a decision. You know what I chose? I chose to lose myself in my launch. I began doing more. You see, we make to-do lists because we want to be efficient, we want to be effective. But why don't we make to-be lists? We've heard it said this weekend. What you do is never as important as who you are becoming. I had to learn this the hard way because I was losing the very life that I was afraid of losing. It's funny. I have 3 boys at home. These guys are crazy. I mean, they're crazy. Matthew Jr., MJ is 4, identical twins, Wyatt and Grayson, 3. We call them the dudes. And these guys are hilarious. We actually just found out we have number 4 on the way. Yeah. And it was funny when my wife told our oldest that she was expecting, she said, hey, buddy, mommy's going to have a baby. And he looked at her and he goes, Mom, does Dad know about this? Awesome. If you're wondering what it's like to live with 3 boys, the other night my wife and I were having a conversation as Nerf arrows flew. The poor dog was barking because she hadn't been fed in 2 weeks. One of the twins ran across the living room naked, and I caught out of my peripheral one of them peeing in a cup in the corner. The Ham House is a frat house. It is the animal house. But my boys constantly teach me, and I love them for this. And the thing that they love doing the most is they love dressing up. They love putting on capes and costumes and superheroes. Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man. They dress up. They say, Dad, look at me. Ah. And I realized they dress up for fun. But I was dressing up because I thought I had to. You see, I have capes that I wear as well, and I suspect that you guys do too. I have my Christian cape. I know Jesus. Do you? I am Christian. I have my husband cape. I take my wife to nice dinners. We share wine, reminisce about our kids. I am husband. I have my dad cape. I take pictures on Instagram. I sing silly songs. I dance silly dances. I read books before bed. I am dad. I have my insurance agent cape. We sell home, auto, life insurance, and I can protect your interests. Look at the plaques on my wall of how successful I am. I am insurance agent. And then I have my author speaker cape. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm here to help you, to teach you. I am author. Capes are exhausting. It's taking me a long time to learn this, but I had to take my cape off. Because you see, as insurance agent, my company didn't like the fact that I had an author cape. Your success is maybe just a flash in the pan. You're no longer part of the team. How do you chase all these passions? How do you do this? You take the cape off. Authenticity breeds authenticity. So I'm slowly learning to take the cape and to toss it aside. Because if we're not grateful for where we are, we'll never be grateful for where we're going. We think that we'll be grateful when we're author speaker or whatever our dream is. But the reality is gratitude is a choice in the moment that changes your heart. It's not a destination that we arrive at. So how do we do this? Jim Collins, the great business author, leader, wrote a book called Built to Last. And in his book, Built to Last, Collins wrote about the tyranny of the or versus the genius of the and. And he applies it to businesses. He says that businesses, mediocre, struggling businesses, embrace an or mentality. They want to be progressive or conservative. Pick one. We do that in our lives. I was doing that. Are you an author or are you an insurance agent? Which cape are you wearing today? Collins said that brilliant, successful, great businesses embrace an and mentality. They are progressive and conservative. And when I heard that, it transformed me. It says, what if you embraced the and in your life? What if you started living in the and? As a Christian, and a husband, and a father, and an insurance agent, and. Now, there will become points in time when you'll have decisions to make, these collisions with the truth, if you will, about which and you need to pursue. And you've gotten great wisdom this weekend about that. But I'm learning slowly to embrace the and, because you know what? My faith, my family, my work, my passions, they all matter. My whole life matters. What good is it if I'm professionally successful and personally miserable? We have to embrace the and. There is a great movie, 1985. I was 4 when it came out. Didn't learn to appreciate it until later in life. John Hughes, who brought us National Lampoon's Vacation, Home Alone, and Uncle Buck, brought us a coming-of-age drama called The Breakfast Club. For those of you who don't know the movie, 5 high school students are forced to spend a Saturday in detention. And Principal Vernon is determined to make them write an essay about who they think they are. And it's interesting as the movie unfolds because you learn about these characters. There is a brain. There's a basket case. There's an athlete. There's a princess. And there's a criminal. And early on in the day, they start backbiting and fighting about all the things in their life that are so different. But what they learn as the day goes on is maybe they're not that different after all. We all came into this room thinking that we were very different. As I think about it, as we head away from here, it's a lot of the Breakfast Club in us. The movie ends with a phenomenal scene. Principal Vernon walks into the cafeteria and he sees a note laying on the desk. He picks it up. As he's reading it, you see the students going in their separate directions, just like we will leave here later today or tomorrow. And you hear the voice of one of the students reading this letter that they've written. He says, "Dear Principal Vernon, you're crazy to ask us to write a letter telling you who we think we are. In the simplest terms, with the most convenient definitions, what we found out today is that each one of us is a brain and an athlete and a basket case and a princess and a criminal. Does that answer your question?"
Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me.
Friends, if I could leave you with anything today, it's this. Embrace the "and" in your life, because what God is doing in you is always more important than what He's doing through you. Thank y'all.